Hey everybody, this is John here at the Wembley Center. I'm here in our demonstration kitchen, and since we've kind of been limited on what we've been able to do here in the kitchen as far as actually having in-person classes, I just thought I would do a quick video on some awesome things that we got at the farmers market over the weekend. I've had the privilege of serving on the board of the Barrow County Farmers Market. We just had our second market of the season. For those of you who don't know, we're located behind the historic courthouse in downtown Winder, across the street from Smoke and Po' Boys. We are there every Saturday from 9 to 1. Wimberley's Roots has a booth there that we're selling some of our produce. We also have a few other farm vendors, Finch Creek Farm, R Squared Farms, to name a couple. Dirt Road Farms will be there as well. We also have this awesome honey from Bold Springs Apiary in Monroe. And so I'm gonna show you guys a quick salad using some of their honey as a sweetener. They sell these really cool little honey sticks, and they have tons of flavors that they add to their honey. So like orange, they have a root beer flavor. They have, I think, a black cherry. They also have a habanero flavor. The thing about them that I think is pretty cool is you get 3 of these little sticks for $1, and I think I bought 1 of each that they had. And you get home and you have all these sticks and they all look the same. So you don't know what flavor you're gonna get, so it's kind of like playing honey roulette a little bit. So what we're gonna use is we're gonna use 1 of these sticks in our salad dressing that we're gonna make using some of the greens that Ty has down in our garden. We have some of these beautiful Amara mustard greens. They are great raw in a salad or also like a quick saute. They're a little bit milder in flavor than a traditional mustard green, not quite as peppery. That's the reason you can eat them raw a little bit better. But I love them. They're a little bit more tender too. We also have some parsley that Ty will be selling at the farmers market this weekend that we're gonna throw into our vinaigrette. And then I've roasted off, or I'm gonna roast off some of these golden beets as well, and that'll go in our salad. So yeah, let me get a few things going and we'll be back in a minute. Thanks. Okay, so we're back. I just kind of want to go over a simple technique first about how to make a homemade vinaigrette. If you've never done it before, it is very simple. It is very versatile too, so you're able to kind of make it your own. The one thing that you do need to remember is a traditional vinaigrette is a 3-to-1 ratio. So it'll be 3 parts oil, which we have here, and we have about 6 ounces of oil, to 2 parts vinegar or your acid. So we will need around 2 ounces of orange juice and also have about 1 ounce of sherry vinegar here. So that's going to be our ratio that we're going to use for this vinaigrette. You're welcome to substitute it however you like. So if you have some red wine vinegar, balsamic vinegar, soy sauce makes a good vinaigrette as well. Lemon juice, apple juice makes a good one as well. So we're using oranges and sherry vinegar for our vinaigrette. The rest of the components of our vinaigrette are going to be a little bit of Dijon mustard here. We have some minced garlic. And then we also have some of that parsley that Ty's growing down in the garden. And of course, our Bold Springs honey stick here. I'm still not quite sure what flavor that is. I tasted it right before. It's very fruity. So I don't know if it's like a cherry or a blackberry is what the flavor we're going with here today. All right. So one thing that I would encourage anyone to, if you don't have one of these guys, they're called a microplane. Let me flip it around so you might be able to read it a little better. They're a microplane. It's basically just a zester. They're $10 or so, and they are great to have in the kitchen, very versatile. And that's what we're going to use today on our orange. So the actual zest on the orange part or the outside part of any citrus has a lot of oils, essential oils in them, and they pack a lot of flavor. So I tell most of my classes, I say if you have a whole citrus and you're going to add the juice, go ahead and zest it as well. You'll get a lot more flavor out of it, and you'll be able to get a lot more orange flavor from it. So you'll notice that I am just going over the orange just once. You don't want to go too far into once you peel the outside layer, you don't want to go too deep into that because it gets pretty bitter. You get into that pith, and that pith can be pretty bitter. So we're just gonna do the whole orange here right into the bowl that we're gonna make our vinaigrette. All right. The next thing I wanna do is I'm gonna slide this forward just to make it a little bit better for you. The next thing we want to do is actually take the segments out of our orange, or the orange supremes. That's what's called in the culinary world. So what we're going to do is we're going to chop off the ends of our orange. All right, and that'll go into our compost bowl. And then we're going to just cut the skin off the orange here, the rind off the orange. All right, and then you'll notice in the orange, at the tip of my knife here, that you got more of that pith that kind of separates each one of the segments. So very carefully, what you want to do is hold the orange in your hand and then use the knife and just go on either side of that segment. So we'll go one segment, two, and then the segments fall right out. So we'll knock these out pretty quick. And then so you got this left over, and we're going to want to throw that into our bowl as well that we're going to make our vinaigrette in. So I'm just going to grab it and squeeze, and you can see how much juice we got out of that. All right, next thing we want to add is our vinegar. So this is our sherry vinegar. With our sherry vinegar, we're going to add that to it. I'm going to add my minced garlic right to the bowl as well. And we'll go ahead and add some parsley to it. And then this is our Dijon mustard. If you have whole grain mustard, brown mustard, even just regular old yellow mustard, you can add that. The mustard does a couple things. Obviously, it adds a lot of flavor, but it also helps as an emulsifier. So it'll help keep this vinaigrette held together once we add our oil to it. And that's the most tricky part to making a vinaigrette, is adding the oil and making sure that it doesn't break on you or separate. So the vinegar and the acid in this juice does not want to stay together, but we're going to kind of force it to by slowly adding our oil to the bowl as we whisk the entire time. So we're going to get all that mixed together, and then I'm going to grab my oil, and you'll see how slowly I'm going to drizzle this oil in there. And if you do this at home, you can measure it all out. You can measure out your, 1 part vinegar to 2 parts oil, or you can kind of do it by eye, like I'm going to do. So I don't know if I'm going to use all of this oil or not, but you'll notice it'll start thickening up. And once it gets to the thickness that you want, then you can stop. All right, so I still got about 1 ounce left. So I added about 5 ounces of oil to it, but nice and thick. Not like mayonnaise thick, but I mean, it's like a pourable vinaigrette. So that's our simple. So we have our Amara mustard greens that I showed you guys earlier that came out of the garden. These are very tender. I did take the stems off of them just to kind of make it a little less of a bite to them. And then I also saved from our beets, I saved the greens off the beets as well. So that's what we have here. We're going to throw those into our salad as well. They're good. They are a little bit more bitter than the mustard, so you probably don't want quite as much beet greens as the mustard greens, but they're really, really delicious as well. And then what we're going to do is we're going to go ahead and add our vinaigrette straight to this bowl. I'm going to reserve a little bit of this vinaigrette just to kind of sprinkle on top of all of our other produce. All right, so I'm back, and while I was gone, I did realize I forgot to add the honey. I did add the honey back to the vinaigrette, put the lettuces back in the bowl, tossed it all together, so I apologize for that. But we did add our honey to it. But I was just going to show you a simple plattering technique. I tossed the Amara, the beet greens, and our vinaigrette all together, and we're just going to kind of layer everything else on top. So I have some roasted beets from the beets that Ty grew down in the garden. They're just going to kind of get scattered on top here. We also have our orange segments that we'll throw on. We also have some pepitas here, which are just pumpkin seeds that we had laying around. You could use any kind of nuts on there, if you have pecans, walnuts, whatever you kind of have laying around the house. Just give them a nice little toast, and then you're good to go. That'll go right on. And then the last but not least, we're going to use my microplane again, and I have a block of Parmesan here. So we're just going to shave some Parmesan and go pretty heavy with it. Almost like snow on top. And then a little bit of that vinaigrette that we had reserved, we're just gonna drizzle it right on top just to make sure those beets get a little bit of love to them. All right. And so there you have it. That's our Amara mustard green and beet green salad with a honey orange vinaigrette with some roasted beets, orange segments, a little parmesan. So hope everybody's doing well, and we hope to see you this Saturday at the Farmers Market, like I said, from 9 to 1 behind the historic courthouse in downtown Wyandotte.